how does a man become content? Because maybe, Dr. Bobby might earn $100,000 a month or 6 figures a month, whatever it may be. But maybe you're called to make 6 a month. Yeah. And maybe that's what's best for your health and your body and how God made you.
Right.
How can a man have that understanding and that nuance instead of working themselves to try to be superheroes?
Yeah. And 6 is dope too.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Not to these women.
You know what I'm saying? And like the pressure that society and even the pressure that a lot of women put on men. It's tough. Yeah. Like one of the things I learned when I was in Japan was, I was able to see like a lot of soldiers there because they have a lot of bases there. And I was noticing that all of these soldiers were marrying all of these Japanese girls. And, like, I love black women. They dope. Like I don't have any like, I just love black women.
Preface yourself.
And so just a preface. And so like for me, I was like, I'm a curious person. I'm like, why these guys marrying Japanese girls? I want to know.
Yeah.
And what I had conversations with a few of them. What they told me is like, there's no pressure. Like we drive a Geo. We got an apartment. And she happy with me. She's doing
she
all
must not have Instagram.
All those things that we want in a wife. Like she's doing those things. All I need to do is come home and spend time with my family. Yeah. There's no pressure to have this. There's no pressure to have that. And so for them, I can be a provider without somebody thinking I'm not providing enough. Because that's a shoulder.
Yeah,
that's a lot to hold on a man. So it's
Hey guys, I'm going to share more clips of this video throughout my video here today. I think it was a very interesting conversation, a good real talk that is beneficial to men and women. So I came across this gentleman, Dr. Bobby Price. I don't know if he's a Christian or not, but he did give some good points here, which you'll see. I came across this by a post someone had put up as I've been working on my personal health, mentally and physically, and I came across this video. I felt it was real, almost a sigh of relief listening to it, to be honest with you. I run a men's group, and we have these kinds of real talks from time to time, but it's also nice to see on a larger scale, especially coming from someone in the healthcare industry. So guys, I'm going to play a few clips throughout. I would love to hear your comments as well on this, as I will be giving my input as well. So for the intro clip, do you guys think there is unfair pressure on men today? Well, pressure is unavoidable. It is a part of life, but a healthy pressure can be beneficial. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if any provide not for his house, if anyone not provide for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So there is this expectation that is on a man to provide for his home. Now, depending on what type of relationship you are in, this could be good or it can be toxic, which we'll hear later in one of the other clips. I think contentment, as he was talking about, the soldiers who are marrying the Japanese women due to a low level of pressure. I think for a man, and you guys can tell me how you feel in the comments, but I think if a man is with a woman who is content with what you have, and the woman allows the man to naturally play his role, because, guys, it is a natural desire for most men to provide and continue to grow and build. It is hard to do that with a nagging wife. Proverbs 21:9 says, better to live on the corner of a roof than to share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Women who have not been corrupted by the westernized mindset, yes, but haven't been corrupted by the westernized mindset of materialism, are usually more content.
What's causing the stress.
Yep.
And then that stress is what's causing all the stuff that's on the inside, that's that silent killer that not a lot of people are recognizing.
Right. And I saw a post the other day. I was mortified by it. The post said that $65,000 is not enough for a man to provide for a family. That was what the Post said.
Yeah.
And the wife stay at home. That's not enough. And because the thing that I thought to myself was, the average man makes around $50,000.
Yeah.
Black or white.
Yeah.
The average. So you have essentially said the average man is not enough.
Basically. Yeah.
So I'm mortified by that kind of thing, and that's why it's so important to be able to have these conversations, so men can have a standpoint that when they come into contact with somebody like that, they can make decisions by themselves to say like, okay, that's not something for me.
Yeah, I agree. I knew a man once who was a slave to his wife. They had no kids, but she wanted the best of everything, the car, the house. And we were young and we were working in a factory, and he was actually killing himself, working 2 jobs to give his wife what she wanted. Stressed out, this brother was. Now, another woman started to conversate with him. And I remember she kind of showed him a softer side of a woman, a peace, a calm. And before you know it, he was getting a divorce and married this other woman. Now, I obviously don't recommend you do that, but men want peace. They also want to know that what they are doing is good, that it's good enough. A good man, ladies, will naturally push himself with an encouragement of a good wife. My question to the woman is, can you be okay if your man can't buy you that $500 bag? Will you resent him if he can only take you out for dinner or on your birthday instead of a lavish trip, which we will talk about more in the next clip?
I need to do more sleep. Redefining a lot of expectations of what men are expecting, because I think too many guys don't understand their lane.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in your lane. I think it's a serious thing. Like this whole thing that there's some guys who earn $90,000 a year, and that's great. But it's okay if you're a man who has a great job and a great purpose, and you're a teacher making 55 or 60.
Yeah.
Obviously, always want to improve whatever you're doing. So I think what has happened is so many men have this unhealthy stress, and my dad says all the time, I always see there's so much in your head, and da da da. You know, like this unhealthy stress to be this super provider.
Exactly.
And that stress is deteriorating their health.
Yep.
You know, and I thought about it like, for every year of work where you're overstressing your body and you're outside your purpose, I look at it as like you lose like 5 years of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for every year that the bird is in the ocean trying to swim instead of in the sky trying to fly, he's missing out on life. And so I'm really glad that you're talking about this, because I think it's so connected, and a lot of men don't see it that way.
Yeah. Like I said, like when I see stuff like that, I'm not that person. Like that post isn't talking about me, but it's talking about me. And you know, it really tells me why men are committing suicide so much.
Yeah.
It explains it. You know, like if you ask a man if you are tired and you are lost, who do you go to? They usually say, I don't got nobody. Don't nobody want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
And that's scary. I mean, I ask men who have wives this, and they feel like nobody cares. And, you know, it's very important for men to get in tune with themselves so that they don't end up in those type of situations, because they're scary. You know, like I've had in the last 5 years, 2 friends commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You understand? So like, it's really important for us to start having these conversations around the pressures and the triggers that are pushing men into that direction.
Yeah.
You know,
I think social media, I don't want to always be the person blaming social media, but I think a lot of the visual images of today negatively affect our worldview. Because I have a theory where it's like, you become shaped by what you see.
Yeah.
And 1,000 years ago, you're not seeing the greatest moments of everyone's lives. 1,000 years ago, you weren't seeing, freaking perfectly filtered women all the time. You weren't seeing these lavish vacations and all these cars. So what that's now shaped people is like they grow up kind of like with an affluent mindset. They're not growing up with an affluent background.
Yep.
And so now they believe that they need to have the Rolls Royces, the Lamborghinis, the high-rise penthouses. They need to have these things. So a lot of men are not even comfortable staying in their own lane because they believe they're less of a man if my kids aren't going to the private school. I'm less of a man if my wife don't got the bag for her birthday. So then all this stress where 1,000 years ago you had your farm, you had your family. It is what it is. You were content. And I think that's driving so many people to move outside their purpose. Because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, and when you move outside of your purpose, you're gonna compromise your morals and your ethics
and your health. Because that's why we're here. They're compromising all that stuff because they're trying to work for all the affluent stuff. And they don't realize what they're doing and damaging inside their bodies, and it's really killing our community.
And people don't understand that stress is not a benign situation.
Explain that.
That people think that I stress and then when it goes away I'm good. No, it leaves a mark. And I have these conversations with both men and women. Like women, when they have fibroids, I ask them when the fibroids started. Most of the time, something traumatic happened. You understand? And they got inflamed and they got bigger and they got bigger. The stress was actually creating it because stress creates acidic hormones in the body, namely cortisol, adrenaline. These are very acidic to the body. And so it's not benign. It's not, it's not something that's occurring in the body and it doesn't have an effect. It leaves a mark. And the same way happens with men. That's why men are having strokes. Like me, I'm always trying to tune into things. I'm always out of tune. So I had to intentionally tune myself into things. And I was watching the show and this man literally had a heart attack because the woman he was with was always arguing and screaming. And in the middle of an argument, he had a heart attack. You understand? And so those are things that are showing us like stress.
The first guy that talked in this clip, I could hear his pain. Dr. Bobby Price made a very interesting point. He said men, when they are tired and when they are lost, who do they go to? The resounding answer should be what, guys? Let me give you a hint. If you are married, you feel tired and lost, who do you go to? A lot of men will say they can't go to their wives because they don't want to be looked at as weak, or their wife ain't it. Meaning they've been conditioned by society so much that they don't know how to react to the vulnerability of a man. Like he said, they don't want to hear that. Nobody want to hear that, bro. In my men's group, men feel lost all the time. And we have a place where they can vent. But what if you don't have that outlet? Then the other brother in the video talked about social media. Can I give him applause? Would that be out of hand? Can I salute this brother? Because what he said, guys, man, social media, all people's personal posts are their highlight reel, the good stuff. But you don't see what goes on behind closed doors. We see the vacations. Oh, he brought me this $600 dress. Or look at the new car my boo got me. 6 months later, they aren't even together anymore. And you say, oh, but they look so happy on their post. Well, that's because it was their highlight reel. He said men start living out of their lane to please. If you guys are in this type of situation, on a highly stressful situation, find a healthy outlet, whether that is counseling of some sort. Because as he said at the end, stress kills, man. Also, I think this video also is beneficial to women so that you guys can get an insight on men when we deal with these different things. Also, for men to understand you are not alone. So, guys, let's hear in the comment section. I would love to hear what you thought about these clips here today. As always, be bold, be blessed, but be biblically constructive.